Today, in 2025, we see French farmers on the streets. They fight for their work. They fight for their land. This is not new for France, you know. Our history is full of such battles. People stand up for what they believe in, especially when it comes to our food. It is sacred. It is our identity. We must protect it, always. Let me take you back. Back to the 1960s. It was a different time. But some fights, they never change. France faced a crisis then too. A big one. It was called the Butter Wars. Yes, a war over butter, can you believe it? This simple golden ingredient, the heart of our croissants, the soul of our sauces. It was in real danger. This fight was not just about food. It was about who we are. It was about our culture, our traditions. Some people wanted to change things. They wanted to push butter aside. They wanted to replace it with something else, something they called modern, something they called cheaper. But was it better? No, absolutely not. We French, we know quality. Imagine a France without real butter, a land of croissants made with a pale imitation. It sounds like a nightmare, doesn't it? Well, this nightmare almost became real. The government, some lawmakers, they were seriously considering it. They thought this new product, margarine, was the future. They nearly legislated our butter into history. It was a close call, very close. So why did these lawmakers like margarine? What was the big attraction? Well, they said it was about progress. They said it was about being modern. Margarine was new then. It was made in factories. It came from vegetable oils. It was different from our traditional butter. Our butter made with love, from the milk of our cows. They saw margarine as a symbol of a new era, and of course, there was the money, always the money. Margarine was cheaper to make, much cheaper than butter. So they thought it would be good for the economy, good for people's pockets. Reduce costs, they said, make food more affordable. These were powerful arguments, especially back then. France was changing. People wanted new things, sometimes without thinking of the cost to our heritage. The government really pushed for this change. There were serious discussions, proposed laws even. They wanted to make margarine the main fat. In many foods, margarine would become the default. Imagine your favorite pastry, your delicious sauces, all made with this industrial fat, not with the rich, creamy butter we know and love. This was the vision some had for France, a truly terrifying thought for any chef. This push for margarine was strong. It was part of a bigger trend. People were talking about new diets, new ways of eating. Some thought butter was old-fashioned. They saw margarine as efficient, a product of science and industry. It was gaining popularity in other countries. So they thought, why not France? They did not understand. They did not understand the soul of French cooking. But France, she does not give up her treasures easily. None. When our culinary heart is threatened, we fight back. And fight back we did. The dairy farmers, they were furious. Their livelihoods were at stake. Their traditions passed down for generations. They would not let margarine replace their precious butter. They took to the streets. They made their voices heard, loudly. And it wasn't just the farmers. Oh no. The bakers, the pastry chefs, les cuisiniers, all the guardians of French gastronomy. They stood with the farmers. How could they create their masterpieces without real butter? The flavor, the texture, the richness. Margarine could never compare. It would be a disaster for French cuisine, a betrayal of everything we stand for in the kitchen. The people of France, they listened. They understood. They loved their food too much. Butter was not just an ingredient. It was part of daily life. The morning tartine with butter and jam, the flaky croissant from the corner boulangerie, the rich sauces that make our dishes famous worldwide. It was woven into the fabric of our culture. To lose butter was to lose a part of ourselves. So the resistance grew. It became a national cause. Public campaigns started. Save our butter was the cry. People wrote letters, they signed petitions. The debate was everywhere. In the newspapers, on the radio, in every cafe and home. It was a passionate affair. Because in France, food is passion. Food is life. And butter, well, butter is the foundation of so much deliciousness. The protests became bigger and bigger. The passion of the people was incredible. From small villages to the big cities, everyone was talking about it. The butter wars became famous across the entire country. The government, they could not ignore this. The dairy industry lobbied hard, of course. They presented their arguments. They showed the importance of butter to our agriculture, to our economy too, but the right way. It was a fierce debate, I tell you. On one side, the push for modernity and cost-cutting. On the other, the defense of tradition, quality, and taste. The culinary soul of France was on the line. The lawmakers had to listen. They had to see that this was not just about economics. It was about identity. It was about the very essence of what it means to be French, to cook French, to eat French. And in the end, butter won, yes. The legislation to replace butter with margarine, it was not passed. Our butter was saved. Its central place in French cuisine was preserved. Can you imagine the relief? The joy? The bakers could continue to bake with real butter. The chefs could continue to create their amazing dishes. The taste of France was safe. It was a victory for common sense, a victory for flavor. This episode, The Butter Wars, it taught us a valuable lesson. It showed how even our most iconic foods can be vulnerable. Vulnerable to policy, vulnerable to market forces. But it also showed the power of the people. The power of standing up for our heritage. The deep cultural meaning of an ingredient like butter. They almost erased butter from the land of croissants.